hello to you, and this has been sent in by Zara, and it is of course a beautiful tortoise. So thank you, Zara, for this gorgeous, gorgeous art. We also have a picture from Mila. Now Mila is three years old, and when you're looking at this picture, I wonder what you can see. Now what I can see, it could be baked beans and eggs on a plate, or if you look here, there are 3 little sticks, so I suspect that those might be candles. So I wonder. And we have another picture here from Al Rayyan International School in Accra in Ghana. So a lot of crazy colors and beautiful, beautiful artwork coming in from Ghana. So thank you very, very much for sending these in. And I suppose we're going to begin our story. We're going to start with this one. However, this is actually the end of the story, because you see there's so much color in this story. And my story is about a little village, and they had a great big marketplace. But the people in this village were very, very kind and very, very friendly, but they got bored. And when people are bored, well, it can become quite difficult for them to see joy and be happy and find pleasure in things. And so they didn't wear all of these beautiful, colourful clothes. No, they tended to be rather drab and dull. However, they were still kind people. And they were so kind that one day, when a little tortoise wandered into the village, they gave the tortoise some food, and the little tortoise ate. And the tortoise was happy and very grateful for all this kindness. But the little tortoise thought, oh, how can I help these people? They're so miserable and sad. I've not seen anybody smile. I've not seen anybody laugh. They need something to make them wonder, to make them shriek with excitement. But what can I do? I'm just a tortoise, and they've seen me eat and nibble, and it's not that cute. And I can only move quite slowly, and they've probably seen me put my head in my shell 1,000 times, and that's not going to excite anybody. So what can I do? And so off the little tortoise went to ponder about what she could do. And as she was walking along, she fell and she began to tumble, and she rolled down this hill, and bump, she landed in a hole at the bottom. And as she stood there thinking, how am I going to get out? Suddenly the earth began to move, and there was a person, a little girl, about this big, with big black curly hair. And the little girl said, I can help you. And the little girl produced a cake. And this cake, she said, was a magic cake. Whatever the little tortoise wanted to do, all the tortoise had to do was take a bite and it would happen. So the tortoise had an idea. The little tortoise wandered back to the village and then went over to a great stream nearby and gathered everybody there. And do you know what the tortoise could do? The tortoise started to walk on the water. And when everybody saw this, they said, look, the tortoise is walking on water. This is amazing. It's not swimming, it's walking. This is incredible. Ah! And they went mad, and they laughed, and they cheered, and they sang, and they shouted. And they were so, so happy that they gave the tortoise plenty of extra food, and they welcomed the tortoise back in. And of course, the tortoise thought, this is such a lovely place that I'm going to stay there forever. And the little tortoise lived there for a long, long time. And because the people were so, so happy, well, they forgot about those dull, drab clothes, and they covered themselves with the most beautiful, colourful clothes. And somewhere, wherever this village is, if you go there, they are known as the happiest village in the world. So there you go, my mini created story for you this evening. So thank you again to Al Rayyan International School for sending me this picture. Thank you very, very much, Zara, for your beautiful tortoise. And thank you, Mila, for giving us some lovely magic cake. Now, I am going to be telling a story from a country that I have never told a story from before. And before I tell the story, I will just say a couple of hellos. I can see Christine and Ronald are watching, so hello to you all. And I also see Laura watching. And so the reason that I have chosen this story is actually because of Laura, because she messaged me and she said that her children, Sophia and Theo, like to listen to these stories while they're having their bath. So I thought If they're having a bath, then maybe a story with some water in it might work. So this is a story from Taiwan, right in the center of Taiwan, where there is a beautiful, beautiful lake, and it's called SunMoon Lake. And you might be wondering why this lake has such an unusual name. And this is the story that I have for you. You see, a long, long time ago, there was a young couple, and they lived in a little village, and everybody in the village was a farmer. So every morning, early, they would leave their homes and they would head out into their fields, and they would work very, very hard until the sun went down and it was time for them to go home. And one day, as they were busy out working in their fields, the sun rose high into the sky, and then suddenly, it disappeared. It went pitch black, and the people were terrified. They ran as fast as they could, trying not to bump into each other or get lost, and they returned to their homes, and they said, "What is going on?" And it was only when night fell, and they knew it was night because the moon began to rise into the sky, that they ventured outside so they could just have a look around to see if there was anything they could see, when suddenly the same thing happened. The moon disappeared, and the world was enveloped in a blanket of darkness, and the people had no idea what to do. And they said, "This is a disaster. We are farmers and we need the sun. If there is no sun, then how are the crops going to grow? How are we going to be able to work? Everything is going to perish, and it's going to be a disaster. It already is a disaster." And the young couple said, "Well, the sun and the moon, they can't just disappear. They have to be around here somewhere. So we will go and we will look for the sun and the moon." And so, armed with nothing more than just some burning torches, they left the village and off they went. They walked for days and days. They crossed ridges and over ravines, when suddenly they saw a beautiful lake. And from this lake, there was a glow, a pulsing light, and they said, "Oh, maybe the sun and moon are there." So they headed over to that lake, and they peered in, and there was the sun, and there was the moon, and they were busy tumbling and going from side to side, left to right, up and down, and they said, "There's the sun and moon." And then as they got even closer and looked into the deep waters of the lake, they saw something terrifying. 2 golden dragons, and these dragons were playing with the sun and the moon as if they were just mere toys. And as they looked at the dragons, they saw that one dragon had great golden hair coming out of his body, and on the top of his head there was one particularly long golden hair. And the other dragon had golden claws, and one claw in particular was very, very long. And there they were, having a most wonderful time. And as the young couple were busy watching the dragons hard at play, an old man shuffled over to them and said, "Oh, what are you doing? If the dragons see you, then they will turn you into a servant, and you will stay until you are old like me." And the young couple said, "Well, the sun and moon have disappeared, and we can see the sun and moon at the bottom of the lake, and we need the sun and moon so that we can live our lives." And the old man said, "Oh, to do that, you're going to have to destroy the dragons. And there's only one way to do it. If you climb up sacred Mount Ali, you will find a hidden treasure, a pair of golden scissors and a golden axe, and they are magic, and they are the only things that can destroy the dragons." And well, the young couple said thank you to the old man, and off they went towards Mount Ali. The mountain rose high into the sky, and they climbed to the top, and they started to hunt for this treasure. It took them days and days until eventually they found it. They found a beautiful pair of golden scissors, and they found a wonderful golden axe. And they headed back down that mountain towards the lake. They looked at each other, And they said, we can do this. And they jumped in. They swam and they swam through that cold, icy waters. Oh my word. It was so cold. They were shivering and trembling, but they carried on regardless, each one clutching the scissors and the other one clutching the axe. They headed deeper and deeper until, boom, they reached the bottom of the lake. And they started to walk right at the very depths of this lake. And they found that even though they were walking in water, they could breathe as if they were on the land. And they headed out towards the source of the glow, where the sun and moon were to be found. And they got closer and closer, and they saw the two dragons shaking and dancing, throwing the sun to the other one catching it, flinging it back, catching it. They were juggling the sun and the moon as if they weighed nothing at all. And they looked at each other and they said, right, we have to get these dragons. And so they circled over to the left and they began to run as fast as they could up the tail of one dragon, up its back. And with the golden scissors, when they reached the very, very top, they chopped off that long golden hair, and the dragon, he roared and his tail thrashed and the waters foamed and swirled and boom, he crashed to the bottom of the lake. But the other dragon knew that something was up now, and he was furious. He tossed the sun and the moon to one side, and his eyes were flashing red and yellow, hunting for this young couple. And they hid behind rocks at the bottom of the lake. And then, when they saw an opportunity, they ran as fast as they could. They climbed up the dragon's tail, and the tail was whipping and whirling and trying to throw them off, but they gripped on as hard as they could. They headed across towards the arm of the dragon, and there, when they reached his hand, they clung onto each other, and then one of them raised the axe and chopped off that enormous golden claw. And the dragon fell to the ground, and that was the end of the dragon. But now the young couple thought, well, we've got rid of the dragons, but how are we going to get the sun and the moon out of the lake and back up into the sky? They had no idea. So they started to swim back to the top of the lake, and they crawled out and they went to find the old man who advised them before. And they asked him, oh, grandfather, please, you helped us before. Can you please help us again? How do we get the sun and the moon out of the lake? And he said, I have heard that if you were to eat the eyes of the dragons, then you will turn into giants. And when you are giants, you can do anything that you want. And so they thanked the old man. They swam down to the lake, and they found the eyes of the dragons. And the young man, he ate one. The young woman, she ate the other. And then they waited. And then suddenly they felt the water of the lake beginning to thrash and begin to swirl around their feet. And they felt themselves getting bigger and bigger and higher and higher and taller and taller. And soon they were the largest giants that you could possibly imagine. Bigger than 10 double-decker buses, all piled high together. Bigger than a forest of trees stacked on top of each other. They were huge. And they were powerful. Imagine a finger as wide as a house. They were enormous. And so they took the sun and they took the moon, and the two giants hurled them back up into the sky. And when they were finished, they took one great step out of the lake. And from there they sat down. And they watched the sun and the moon back in their rightful place. And the old man, he came over to them and he said, young couple, you have saved the world. You have made a great sacrifice. and you should stay here for a long time to see the results of your work. And so the two giants turned into mountains, and those mountains surrounded the lake that the people now know as SunMoon Lake. So perhaps if you ever decide to go for a holiday or go adventuring and you end up in Taiwan, if you go right into the center, there is a place where there are enormous mountains surrounding a beautiful lake. And that lake is called SunMoon Lake. So there you go. I hope that you enjoyed that story. I hope you especially enjoyed it while you were having your bath, Sophia and Theo. And thanks very much, Laura, for writing in and telling me that. It's always really nice to know what the people who are listening at home are doing. Hello to Agnes, and hello to Jamal and Sade, who might be watching, and Camille is also here as well. So really, really lovely to see you all again. Please do share the story if you did enjoy it. And again, if you have some more artwork that you are desperate to send in, then please do, so that I can keep making some lovely stories for you. But have a really lovely evening. And thanks again to our wonderful artists, to Mila, who is 3, to Zara, who sent in the tortoise and is based in the wonderful exotic climes of Glasgow, and also to Al Rayyan in Accra in Ghana. So thank you very, very much. And I shall see you all again tomorrow. Oh no, today is Friday, so I am taking a break. Remember that, taking a break, no weekend stories. So I shall see you all again on Monday. So thank you very much and have a lovely weekend. Okay, bye.